Hey ladies and gentlemen, this is David Avellan, and I'm here with my brother Marcos Avellan, and we're going to talk about his product that's coming up that's going to be an amazing system for developing mental combat skills. This is something that hasn't been done in the mixed martial arts yet, and I feel that it's going to be one of the more important parts of your development in martial arts, because we all know how important being physically prepared is, and that's why we invest a lot in techniques and we watch videos. But the biggest controlling factor of your body is your mind, and it's very neglected. But my brother, he's introducing black belt psychology, and I feel it's going to be a huge game changer for everybody.
Yeah, basically this system is my life's work. I've been involved in martial arts since I was a boy, since I was 15 years old. It's past, wow, approaching 18 years now of training. And this encompasses, this what inspired me to make the book is I read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and the book was inspired because Carnegie, who at the time was the richest man in the world, he had started from nothing. He had started from literally from rags. He was a steelworker, and he was curious as to how come certain people were able to become self-made millionaires like himself, while others were still working at the steel factories that he was at. So he commissioned Napoleon Hill and put him on a mission to interview all the self-made millionaires of the world and try to find the common correlations. So then I started thinking, well, you know, the other day someone asked me, Master Marcos, how do you determine when someone's ready for their black belt? And I didn't really have a clear answer. You know, I said, you know, when I feel it's ready. Like, you know, what do you mean, like, when you feel it's ready? And I started thinking about it, and I started thinking, well, what is a black belt, and what are the common traits of a black belt? So on the same mission that Napoleon Hill was on, finding all the similar traits of self-made millionaires, I started going on a mission of finding out all the similar traits of proven black belts. And they all have a certain like people call it the black belt aura. And what I did with this system is I put it out on a map, you know, and I made a blueprint for what is the black belt aura and what are all the common traits that the black belts have. And if you if you follow this system, you're going to see an immediate progression in your abilities in the training arena, in competition if you're a competitor, and God forbid you have to use this stuff in the streets. You'll be much more prepared for a potential situation.
Now, let me stop you where you were talking about earlier, how you were saying, you know, Napoleon Hill identified traits of successful people, and you know he has 13 traits, right? So, what are some of the traits that you found that black belts have that are skills that people need to develop?
Well, for one thing, you notice from any kind of legitimate black belt, they always have that kind of, like, they always have a dog in the fight, so to speak. Like no matter how bad things are going for them, they always tend to be able to pull off what people consider a lucky submission, or even not necessarily be considered lucky, but a clutch submission. So, you know, if you see your BJJ professor training in the room and he's getting roughed up by the school champion, and all of a sudden he taps him out, and then you go, oh wow, he just, you know, why did he get that thing? And this is something that all black belts tend to have. They always have that weapon ready to go. And what it really is a mentality. Okay, that even when they're being out hustled or even outdone via technique, psychologically speaking, they're always going for the kill. You know, they're always going for the win, and they always stay focused on that. Whereas many other competitors and athletes, they break down psychologically as the points start rolling in. You know, and even if it's not points per se, like a scored points, just when they're getting positionally dominated or dominated via strikes, you know, when they're being outscored, they start collapsing mentally. Whereas the black belts, they seem to always be in it. You know, and another thing about black belts is that they have a razor sharp focus when they're drilling. You know, you don't see two black belts drilling and it just looks like whatever, like they're just goofing around. Like, if you ever see two good quality black belts drilling, it's actually something that people stop to look at. I remember when me and you used to drill, getting ready when we were warming up for our matches back when we were competing together at the Grapplers Quests and the Nagas. I remember people used to videotape us warming up because it was different than the way the average person warmed up.
Now, explain that difference, because I've talked about this a lot. I know you have gone to a lot of depth about it, but there is a difference, I feel, between practicing and drilling, right? And I think a lot of people mix those lines. And I would like you to clarify that, so people understand. Like, when people see wrestlers, they say, oh, like wrestlers have this super hard work ethic, and I feel it's just they understand how to drill properly. But explain in your words, like, how you feel about drilling and why, like, black belts have such a higher level. Like you said, like, people stop to watch a black belt drill versus white belts. People are not, like, stopping to do that.
Well, from what I've noticed in the martial arts community is that there is a different culture in a lot of schools than like where we came up. My brother and I both came up from a wrestling culture, a wrestling background, and the wrestling culture is very normal. Well, it's not that it's very normal. It's super expected. Like, you're supposed to drill hard, and I've noticed that there's certain because I post my articles on internet forums and stuff, and I posted what I had considered a very safe article. Like, I remember when I was posting this article, it was about drilling, where I said, practice does not make perfect. It's perfect practice that makes perfect. So in this article, I was talking about the importance of making sure every technique you shoot, like if you're doing double legs, that every shot's hit with ferocity and hit with 100% dedication, as if it were a real match or a real fight. And when I had hit send on this article, when I had hit post on this article, I remember not wanting to post it, because I thought, of all the articles I've ever posted, this is the most, like, common sense, like, hey, the sky's blue kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like this is a boring article. Like, it's too common sense. And I was shocked to see that I got, like, a lot of backlash. Because a lot of people were like, oh, that will get you hurt, or that's being a jerk. Who wants to train with that guy that's making everything into a fight, that every technique he's elbowing you or something like that. Like if you're being a spaz by drilling hard. So it's a good question you ask, because there's a difference when someone shows you a really cool technique and you're trying to learn it, so you're breaking it down step by step and you're practicing it and you're making sure you have all the details right, versus drilling, which is when you're ready for battle. The best example I can give you is shooting a gun. I can right now get a gun and teach you how to load it and teach you how to, pull the chamber back, pull the trigger, aim, keep it between your sights, boom, 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 hit a target, try to get your group together tight, okay? The difference between that and getting you ready for actual battle. Like, if I get my wife and teach her how to aim at the bullseye and pull the target a few times and teach her how to load a gun, it'd be crazy to assume that now I could throw her into a firefight versus other trained killers, okay, and expect her to do well. Well, that's the same kind of problem that a lot of martial arts schools have. People are drilling their techniques in such a way that it's more like target shooting, like the example I just gave. And in reality, they need to be doing the kind of drilling to prepare themselves for a real situation. So when it comes to drilling, when I drill a takedown, I hit it as if it was a fight. In the third round, I'm down, and I need this takedown. Or I'm in my home, someone just broke in my house, okay, and I managed to disarm them, and now it's hand to hand. I got my wife crying in the background, who holding my kids. I gotta take this person down, okay? Like those are the visuals I have for myself. So when I hit this next shot, I hit it with 100%. If I'm really sick in my stomach and I feel I'm not and all that stuff, like while I'm training, then I visualize, okay, it's late in the round, this is how I feel, what am I gonna do about it? When you're just practicing a technique, you're not going through any of that. When you're just practicing a technique, you're just focusing on, like, getting your details right. They both have their purpose, but the drilling is very, very important, and the drilling needs to be done as hard as you can while keeping the technique as the best of your abilities. You should not compromise this much technique to be going extra aggressive. So you want to go as aggressive and as fast and as ferocious as you can, while keeping your technique at 100% of your ability.
Now, then let me ask you there. So, what you're really saying when drilling hard, because some people might think drilling hard as in, like, trying to punch the guy in the face or trying to rip the guy's arm off. Is it more about the physical of what you're bringing, or is it more about mentally having the mindset of drilling through?
Yeah, it's definitely not about hurting you. There's a misconception. People are, oh, who wants to be with a guy that's headbutting you? And I'm like, why should he be elbowing you or headbutting you while running a double leg shot? If a guy's headbutting you or elbowing you during a double leg shot, then guess what? His technique is being compromised. And the fact that in order for him, and the fact that if he goes faster or more intense, that these things are happening when they're not happening at a slower pace, means that he indeed does not have a true control of the technique as the level of intensity goes up. And when you're in a fight, what's the intensity level at? It's at 100%. So you need to keep your technique clean and crisp. And the more speed it's involved, the more ferocious it is, the more likely it's a real fight, and that's when technique counts. And if your technique cannot be maintained in a training atmosphere while going hard, it's going to be all over the place in a real fight. Which is why you'll have guys that look great in the mitts, and then they start fighting, and now they're throwing haymakers, and their hands are dropping, and all this stuff that you don't see. Even in a sparring level, sometimes they're sparring all nice and technical, then they get into the cage and the things are all over the place. It's because psychologically they were never there when they were drilling and when they were training.
So how important would you say it is to come into training with the right mindset versus just showing up?
Oh, crucial. It's just like anything else. Martial arts for me is the perfect metaphor for everything in life. You don't show up to work not ready to work. You know, most people take like 2 to 3 hours to be ready to work. They'll show up to work at 9, they'll check their email, they'll do some small talk, they'll get a coffee, you know, they'll do enough stuff to stall for an hour, hour and a half, and then they start working. Okay? You gotta show up ready to go. Like the old expression, you know, hit the ground running. And when it comes to training, you know, you should come excited and ready to go. You gotta be mentally prepared before you show up. You know, we talk about using positive affirmations, writing down affirmations before practice. It's something that a lot of my fighters do, where we'll write things down like my double leg is ferocious, or my sprawl's like an avalanche that crushes my opponents, you know, something to that effect. And they'll write these affirmations down over and over and over before coming to class to get themselves energized and pumped up. But definitely the start of the class is very important, just like anything else. The beginning and the end are the two most important things, right? And if you're starting off in going into your training session, it's going to take you a while to shake it off, and you'll be losing a lot of valuable time.
So then what would you suggest to somebody that's doing like a 9 to 5 and they're going straight from work to the gym, and they're tired and they're coming in, and a lot of times some people might be doing it like a routine, they do jiu-jitsu 3 times a week, and they're just showing up without this focus. Like, how do they get this like razor sharp focus so that they're getting the most out of their training?
That's a great question, because the thing is, routine sometimes creates like a monotony and creates like a boredom. And me and you are instructors, and we're always dealing with retention, keeping our students involved. But the reality is that when the routine gets very heavy, people lose interest, and sometimes you find yourself like kind of dreading going to practice. It's very important to be constantly focused on your goals. And I know a lot of people hear that and they go like, yeah, they're not really listening right now. Like, you can hear me, but you're not listening, or that thing, right? Yeah, right. It's like they're I don't know which one it was. If hearing was the one or listening, but like they can hear my thing about goals, but not listening about it. Like you gotta be super focused on your goals. Like if you don't have goals, you're just free floating around. Okay, like you gotta be razor sharp focused on what you're gonna do. So if your only goal is to get your blue belt or your purple belt or brown belt, man, that could be a year, 2, 3 years away. Like that's not exciting. Okay, if I told you, at your job that if you get 5 extra sales at your job, you're getting a free trip to Hawaii. Like you're gonna be pumped up that whole week because all you need is 5. So because it's a short-term goal, right? If I told you, hey, at the end of 5 years, whoever's the most sales gets a trip to Hawaii, it's not as exciting. See, with jiu-jitsu, since our belt promotions are so long in between, a lot of times people's only goals are these belt promotions, and they lose interest. So you gotta have short-term goals. So I break it down. We have 4-year goals, 3-year goals, 2-year goals, 1-year goals, 9 months, 6 months, 3 months, monthly goals. Then we have weekly goals, and if you're really serious, 48-hour goals. And the 48-hour goals we do every Sunday night. So when you wake up Monday morning, you got an immediate goal. So now, what are these goals? A 40-hour goal is not like shave a minute off your mile time, but maybe run a mile. Like if you normally don't run every day, run a mile is a great 40-hour goal, but it don't have to be that big, just 20 push-ups. If you don't do push-ups every night before you go to bed, and you do just 20 push-ups as your 40-hour goal, are you a step closer or a step further away from your next belt promotion? You're a step closer. You're getting in better shape. You're getting stronger. You're being more fit. Okay, so it's not about necessarily these giant steps. Enough little steps go a long way. It's cliche, but the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So weekly goals. What could be a weekly goal? A weekly goal might be like hit my favorite takedown or my favorite submission move. Drill it 100 times before the end of the week. So that gives you something immediate to focus on. So when you come in from a long day of work, you're like, okay, let me bust 20 reps right now. And as you're doing these reps, you get a feeling of immediate accomplishment because now you're 20 reps closer to your 100 rep goal. See, when you don't have these goals, you're just like kind of like just training and training and training. And yeah, when you're in that huge learning curve where you're learning a lot, you see immediate results because you show me a new triangle setup and I hit it in class and stuff. But as you start to plateau a little bit and you don't see those immediate results, you might get discouraged thinking you're not making improvement. When in reality, you're always improving. Every time you're drilling, every time you're training, you're improving. So having short-term goals definitely will revitalize you. And also having a reset is very valuable. A reset is any kind of little ritual to kind of remind yourself of what you really want. So can be a picture, like if you have a picture of a gold medal, like if your goal is to win like the worlds, having a picture of the medal from the worlds, and having in your pocket and looking at it. Or if you're a fighter and you have a certain person you want to beat up, like a certain opponent you have in mind, you have his picture there, you just remember, I want to beat this person, how's he training right now? And if you're not a competitor at all, just having a picture of you wearing a black belt. I used to have some of my guys wear the black belt, take a picture of them and tell them, here, like this is the goal. So having that in mind to stay focused on your goal is another huge thing. If you're overweight and you're trying to lose weight to be in shape, we had guys Photoshop their head on another body, like that, the body that they want to look like, all right? So that they can start staying focused on that goal. You gotta use all these things, man. You gotta spice things up. You gotta make it exciting. You gotta have a good time. The most important thing about training is having a good time.
No, I think that should be very helpful to a lot of people because I know most people, they set goals, but they're very long-term goals. Like when someone starts martial arts, the goal is that I want to be a black belt. And like you said, it's such a long journey, especially in jiu-jitsu, that you can get bored easily. So would you say that your long-term goals, the ones that are easy to make, because it's just usually like one thing, like I want $1 million or I want to get a big house. These are big goals. Would you say that having big goals are really more for giving you direction on what you want to do so that you can set lots of smaller goals along the way?
Most certainly. Like a lot of people, like you said, just have like big and UFC champion as their goal. But yeah, but what are you gonna do? Like, what are the steps to become a UFC champion? I remember I had one person, had one of my, at one time I was in an argument with one of my night shift guys because he still hadn't learned how to fill out the paperwork for when someone comes into the school to go for a tour and stuff. And I remember I was reprimanding him. I was telling him like, man, what are your goals? Like, you've been here for 6 months and you still don't know how to do this procedure that a lot of my guys learned in the first week. Like, what are your ambitions? He goes, I want to have a school one day. I'm like, okay, when do you want to have the school? He's like, what? Like, he was caught off guard. Like, when are you at the school? What date? Like, what is the date? It's going to be the grand opening of your new school. So now I could tell he had never really thought about the date. But he'd been telling everybody his goal to have his own school. So he looked at me and he unwisely said, 2 years. I go, 2 years? You go to school in 2 years? So when, okay, let's talk now. When are you going to learn how to do this paperwork? Then when are you going to learn how to be able to teach classes? Then when are you going to get your next promotion? When are you going to learn how to delegate? I started going through all the different things. I don't want to get into a whole martial arts business spiel, but it's a big, giant business plan that's involved. And this guy didn't even know how to do the most basic part. So the problem is he set a very unrealistic goal in the sense that he had no plan to get there. So having your own martial arts school, that's a great goal. I mean, obviously, I'm very for it, right? So, but now with step A, step B, step C, step D, like maybe step A is learn how to make a website. Step B, learn how to gather leads. Like you have the whole progression, and then get your instructor certification, get your X belt rank level, that the belt rank you feel comfortable with when you start teaching. Depending on what style of martial arts you're doing, different ranks are acceptable, right? So you gotta have all these goals and map it all out. But it all starts with the big goal, obviously. So you start with the big goal and you work your way down. And you'd be surprised. It might take a few hours, it might take days to do your whole map, and the map's going to change throughout, because maybe you think that it takes X amount of time to achieve a certain milestone, and then as you're doing it, you realize, no, it needs a lot more time. So definitely start with your goal, your end game, and then work your way down.
Okay, I think that should be very helpful for anybody, because I think a lot of people get discouraged because they set a big goal and then they just never actually take the time to break it down so that they can actually achieve these little milestones. And I know from personal experience, when you have those little milestones and you hit them, it gives you a little high because you've accomplished something, and then you can, it gives you the energy to keep on going. But let's move back, because I know people hear goals and they're like, oh, goals. Let's get back into black belt psychology. What would you say would be one of the main benefits that somebody's going to pick up from learning your black belt psychology course?
Well, for one thing, like Alan Belcher told me in his review, he said this is what MMA has been missing. Okay, when I was going to do my first DVD system, for the general public, I've done different stuff for business consulting, stuff like that, marketing, that kind of thing. But this is my first DVD system that I put out for martial artists. And the reason why it's taken me so long to do this, I've had people asking me to do guard passing DVDs, things like that, ankle lock DVDs, like since forever time. Like I've always had people ask me to do that, and I've never wanted to do it. And the reason why I didn't want to do it, because my life is martial arts. Above everything else, like martial arts is my passion. It's my legacy. That's how I feel about it, right? So I've always had a tough time thinking about doing a guard passing DVD and stuff. I'm like, man, there's already a lot of guard passing DVDs out there. There's already a lot of stuff out there. And I don't know, it just didn't excite me. I don't remember who I was talking to, but I was talking to somebody, telling them about my views with that they just lost a fight, and I was giving them advice. And he's like, man, Master Marcos, like everyone should be listening to this. And that's when I thought to myself, you know what? There is no system out there for mixed martial artists, students, and competitors alike that addresses all the psychological aspects of training and street fight and self-defense fighting and competition. Right now, as a mixed martial artist, I recommend you to read the Book of Five Rings, which is a great book, don't get me wrong. But you're reading a book about swordplay, which is, combat is combat. So there's lots of things that are applicable from the sword fighting, obviously. I quote from the Book of Five Rings many times in the series. So there's many things, but what you're doing when you're reading these books is that you're translating, you're trying to find, translating, when he says, straight entry, this could be for my jab, you're translating it, okay? This system is, here it is, it's on a platter. Like I've done the translating for you, and besides the Book of Five Rings, there's maybe one or two other books, I don't know, there's no real go-to system for the psychological aspect of martial arts that's modern, that's for mixed martial arts, and at least not that I'm aware of, which is what really inspired me to do this. I've been working on this for quite some time now. I've written out a 210-page book on the system. I've also made it a 250-page plus training journal. Okay, that's going to be a perfect companion. It's going to go, all the things we're talking about, goals and stuff, is all built into this training journal. Okay, so you can't go wrong with it. And the daily training journal. And along with all that, I put together close to 9 hours of footage over the span of 9 DVDs about martial arts psychology. So why is this thing so awesome? Because it's needed. Anyone can tell you that the psychology is the most important part of combat. Anybody can tell you that. Fighting's mental, right? But we all spend the vast majority of our time, if any time at all, the vast majority of our time is dedicated to technique and conditioning. And maybe people will spend 10 minutes for every 10 hours about the psychology. If that. Some schools never even talk about the psychology. Some schools do. I've seen some instructors sit down and they preach at the end of class and stuff, but many don't. So the percentages are off. People will tell you gladly, oh yeah, fighting's all mental. But then the training is all conditioning and technique. So this is a perfect complement. I've made a universal system. So it doesn't matter if you do jiu-jitsu or taekwondo or Krav Maga. Like, it doesn't matter what system of martial arts you're doing. This is applicable to all those systems. It doesn't matter if you're a competitor, because as you know, the vast majority of my students are not competitors, and this is designed for them as well. When I made this, I was thinking about them. If you're a competitor, you're gonna love it, because this is a big part of what you do, dealing with all that stuff. And for someone that doesn't really care about self-defense, it doesn't really care about competition, but they have more hobbyist style goals, like getting their belt rank or getting in shape, this stuff is gold as well. It's gonna help you achieve. I had one guy review it and say, this book is not about just becoming a better martial artist, it's about becoming a better person. Because the stuff you're gonna learn in this system is gonna be applicable to everything you do in your life.
Now, I have people ask me questions since I've sent out the emails, and one of the things people are curious about is the Black Belt Psychology course just philosophy, or are there drills involved, or strategies as far as entering combat, or how you train? You know, like, some people are really curious as far as like what else is there to it. Is it just like, it's just a book that you read and then you're done, or is it there's stuff that you're gonna be implementing as you read this?
Everything you just said. It talks about philosophy. It talks about training principles. It talks about drills, different ways to improve the training you're already doing now, like technical, actual ways, like different methods of shadow boxing, different methods of training your takedowns, different methods of working your drilling your submissions, creative things to simulate being hit, like ways of putting yourself into the fight. And it isn't the kind of thing you just read once. It's something that it's gonna be part of your everyday training. And as a result, you know, the training journal is something that once the journal runs out, you know, we have replacements available, because it's something you can be doing every day now. So you're gonna be writing in it every day. You're planning everything every day. This is gonna be something that people are gonna carry with them throughout their whole martial arts career. So as long as you're training martial arts, this thing is something you'll be constantly using, this system. So you asked me what else it was about?
As far as like what else is entailed in the Black Belt Psychology course, because, you know, as you mentioned, there's 9 DVDs, there's 2 books, there's bonus DVDs. So, I mean, for people there, I'm sure that people are asking, like, is it just philosophy, or is it just? And you pretty much answered a lot of that. But like, what would be like the one takeaway? Like, for example, I imagine the majority of people, you know, they're blue belt level, white belt level, who are really interested and they're trying to get the most out of their training. There's probably a lot of people out there who might have hit their plateau at a certain point where, like you said, at the beginning, you're learning a lot very fast, and then suddenly, boom, everything sort of levels out. And now you're at that point where you're sort of frustrated because you're not sure where you go. Like, how will Black Belt Psychology help that student that's sort of stuck?
When I first wrote the book, I've been sitting on this book for about a year now, just so you know. Why so long? I don't know, just been polishing it. I'm a perfectionist. I really genuinely believe this is my legacy. This is what my kids are going to read, my grandkids, my great-grandkids. Like, that's how I've been looking at this. And I've just been polishing it and polishing it and polishing it. And when I first got this book, when I did the first draft of it, I said to myself, I was very proud of it. I thought it was a jewel. And I said, now let's put it to work. So what I did was, I gave the book to my fighter house crew. Okay? And my fighter house crew at the time consisted of white belts and blue belts. And they came back, and I'm talking about instantly, when they came back, they were training 1,000 times better. And then one of them had his first mixed martial arts fight, Devin, and he won by submission in something like 15, 16 seconds. And when they put the mic on him, the first thing he said was, "Thank you, Black Belt Psychology." And everyone started laughing in my crew because they thought it was like a marketing thing, but it's like, I didn't tell him to say that. Like, it was the first thing that came to his head because he just felt so great going out there. He felt great in the warm-up. He felt great he felt great in the training. He felt great in the warm-up. And when he came out, he did exactly what he wanted to do. And he instantly attributed it to the book because he had just read the book about a couple weeks prior. So all these guys and girls that read this were doing just amazing stuff in the training environment, and they were just loving their training more. And I think it was a powerful reframe. It changed your perspective on training a lot. And since then, I've sent advanced copies out to certain people. You guys have been seeing the reviews if you're online. The review that Luca gave me from Gracie Magazine, that was outstanding. And all these things are very flattering. Like I'm even though like I told you, I'm super confident in this thing. Just hearing like a lot of these professional fighters and well-respected black belts saying these things, it's like wow. So this thing's a game changer. It's a game changer, and I want to repeat Alan Belcher's quote. You know, this is what MMA's been needing. Like right now, if someone before the system asked me, "Hey, I want what sports psychology systems can you recommend me for mixed martial arts?" The only thing I would really say back then was Book of Five Rings. Like it's like it's not the same, man. I don't want to diss, you know, I don't want to diss the book, but this system is a lot more applicable and practical if you're a mixed martial artist.
Now, on that note, you had said something earlier about the training and the drilling. Because there's people out there that they're not interested in fighting or even competing at like a Naga or a grappling tournament. They just like going to the gym and doing a roll, you know, and you know they want to get their black belt, but then they're not interested in competing outside. Is black belt psychology still something that they need to look at?
If you see your black belt at the gym and the way he rolls or she rolls, and you want to emulate that, then yes, okay, this is gonna give you the confidence and the aura, that champion aura. You know, some people look at the black belts or look at these star athletes and think, oh, they're different. They're not. Okay, the stuff they achieve, anyone can achieve. Yes, natural talent makes them better, faster, and all that stuff. But just like Malcolm Gladwell talks about in the book Outliers, natural talent takes you to a certain level, and then from that point on, it's all about who wants it more and the hard work and the technique involved, right? When I say technique, I mean the technique in achieving those goals. So this system is going to get the average person that lacks the confidence sometimes, or thinks that the black belt's better or not, and show you how to become like them. So it's a very empowering system. It's going to make you feel great. It's going to make you feel confident, and it's going to give you all the tools. Every single thing that I do, and this man does, and many other black belts do. Okay, but everything that we do, I'm sharing in this book. There's no secrets. Everything's laid out on the table. All the same principles that him and I have used to achieve success outside the martial arts gym, in the martial arts gym, and in the competitive arena everything is all in this system. So I love to death. This is the proudest thing I've ever done in my entire life. With the exception of my marriage and my children, like there's nothing I've been more proud of than this system. I'm more proud of this system than winning the ACC trials, than winning my MMA fights. Like this is literally the proudest I've ever been of anything, and I stand behind the system 100%, and I know that everyone that checks it out is going to love it.
Well, Marcos, I'd like to thank you for coming here and taking the time to talk us through black belt psychology. For all of you out there, my brother and I are going to be doing a webinar on Monday night, which is on the 14th of January at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And in that time, my brother's going to, just like I've done webinars in the past, he's going to sit down and he's going to talk and go over some of the concepts of black belt psychology that you're going to be seeing in the full 9 DVD set. And then we'll do some Q&A session with Master Marcos, and he'll go over any questions that you guys have. So if you haven't already, make sure that you check your emails, because we're going to be sending out the links to the webinar Monday morning so that you can get access. If you're not on an email list, whether you're on his or mine, you'll get the link. All right. If you're not, make sure that you join. All right. There should be a form on the right-hand side here. Oh, other right. Okay. So make sure that you fill it out so that you can get access to the webinar. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Man, thanks guys for all the positive comments and stuff. I've been getting hit with so many emails that it's overwhelming. Stuff on Facebook, everyone's been writing, it's been great, and I'm really looking forward to seeing everyone at the webinar. We're gonna have a great time. We go over some stuff, answer questions, all that stuff, and I'm looking forward to you guys, joining up with me and trusting me with the system. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, guys, and again, I can't stress enough the importance of having the right mindset. We all know martial arts is really a parallel for everything in life, and that's why having something like this, like black belt psychology, it's like essentially giving you like that brain transplant early on. Like it takes martial artists years and years of effort to try, and we're doing it not knowing the skills required to have as a black belt. Like we're learning it after the fact. Oh, like this is something that if I would have worked on earlier, I could have achieved like that black belt aura earlier. All right, so again, can't stress that enough. But you guys are gonna get to see more of it. All right, so Monday night at 8:30 p.m. That's January 14th. We'll be doing a live webinar. All right, just make sure you check your emails Monday morning, and you'll have the link. And other than that, we'll see you Monday. Take care.